20 strategies to save over 100 hours. Hello, everyone. My name is Tessa, and I'm here to introduce you to Reagan Rodriguez. Reagan is a futurist who teaches stratosphere wealthy legacy families how to become impact investors. Hi, Reagan. How are you?
I am doing better than I deserve, and I'm excited about this topic. I'm not doing it. So all I'm saying is if this can help me save just 2 hours or 1 hour, this is, but when I hear 100, this seems awesome. I mean, this
Yeah.
on a serious note, Mateo is started off as an intern working for me. He's now kind of full time here with us. And one of the things he asks me sometimes is what are things that you recommend for me to read or articles to read, anything like that. And one day I mentioned to him about a club I'm a part of other family offices, people worth 100 million or more. And Mateo got on their newsletter. And the other day he said to me, this is a few weeks ago, he said, "Did you see their most recent newsletter?" And I said, Kind of. And I think I deleted it." And he said, "You know what it was about?" And so he told me, and I said, "What a great topic. Did you read the article? Tell me about it." So he did. And I said, "I have an even better idea." Well, better would be implementing them. I said, "I've got a better idea. Let's get you on here, talk on this, because we always seem to learn better when we're teaching, right? So Mateo has probably read this article more than once. So go for it, Mateo. You got the floor, buddy.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Reagan.
Yes.
To be with you, Tessa. So I'm really excited about what we're going to talk about today. Like Reagan said, I was looking over that news article and it really captured my attention. And I really felt like it was a really great playbook for how to be elite, I think, in
Ooh,
business.
that's good.
So
Hmm.
that's how I interpreted it. So
Yeah.
the first thing that I really liked about it was where can I buy time? I think that's one of the most important questions that any investor or entrepreneur could possibly get is more time and obviously more money. So they talked
Mhm.
about what am I doing now that's taking up too much time and how can I reduce that as much as I can. So when you think of that, you think about delegating, you think about buying human capital, different employees. So when you think about, can I hire someone to do X job, and can they do it decently? So that's important too. When you make a hiring decision like that to offload work, essentially, you are saving time and you're spending money um, by doing that. And so it's important to know that really what you're doing is building a system. So I thought that was the first great thing. Delegate, buy employees where you can, make sure that they're doing a good job, doing what they're supposed to be doing, so everything runs smoothly in the business.
Yeah.
Another thing he talked about was health. So one of the things is when you become as an investor, when you're a centimillionaire and you have a lot of people coming at you,
Hmm.
flying all over the place, you're booked up to every week people somebody wants something from you. So it's important that you have a good routine, good sleep schedule. You have people that um, are handling you during every day, every week you're to make sure that you are in peak health. Because if you're not healthy, you're not going to feel good. You're not going to look as good. So that's very important. Another thing that they talk about is flying first class. So this is something that I thought was really interesting.
Her smile can't get any bigger on that one. Go ahead. First class. Yeah. Good thing you didn't say fly private. She'd be doing jumping jacks. Go ahead.
Definitely.
But yeah, flying first class, I think, it's a great way to increase productivity and save time. Because obviously,
Mhm.
like coach or, you're flying business class, it can be uncomfortable, crowded. It's very difficult to get work done. You got some kid crying in the back, whatever happens on planes. And you never know who you can meet as well when you fly first class. So it's a good
That's
network.
right.
The next one that they talked about, which is a little bit more expensive, is is hiring a executive assistant. Now, this is for investors that are significantly growing their company. They have probably a mid to large company, I would say. It might make sense to hire an executive investor, an executive assistant that can handle hassles, that can handle bills, that can handle, emails, calendar, all of that stuff gets offloaded. So that's a pretty obvious one. And I
Can I
think it's
just say that that's a big one when you're not doing your income producing activities. So you're doing something that somebody else can do. So you could use your time in a much better place. That's making you more money in the end. So it's definitely worth it.
Exactly right. That's the other component is you're going to be able to make more money because you're not occupied with the mundane things that, most people have to do. So that's very important. Another important thing they talk about is saying no. That's very, very important. That's really hard for a lot of people to say no to, startups or different, pitches that they get for all sorts of investments. That's probably, if not one of the single hardest things to do, because really within a year, they have to pick, let's say 4 or 5, maybe 6 investments that are the best, that's worth their time, energy, and money. Also, excitement. That was another thing they talked about the article. The next point would be, is it exciting? Do I care about it? Right? If it's not exciting, if it's not something that's important, then I'm not going to waste my time to do that. Obviously, that's not really taught in schools a lot of the time. So there's this kind of sense of investors like, Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos being insensitive, but it's not being insensitive. It's just when you're operating at such a high level, you cannot afford to, spend X dollars to something that's not going to give you, 10 times your money, 20 times your money in the future, right? So they can only spend that time to investments that are going to 10x, make them 10x return next year, double, triple their money, whatever. So that's all it is at the end of the day. So I guess that's what people kind of refer to as business being ruthless. It's being no or not responding to an email or whatever it is. The next thing I think is important that they talked about is the types of pain. So the short-term and long-term pain. Short-term pain could be to where, you have a small, maybe you have 5 to 10 employees, and 5 of them, for whatever reason, aren't doing their job. They're not getting it done in terms of quality. That can be very difficult. And he had a saying from one of the investors he interviewed. He said that if I have a dream or if I have a nightmare, if I'm dreaming about you at night, then you're gone. Then you're gone. Because like I don't want to go to bed at night worrying about, XYZ. So that's kind of the extreme. So it's really important to have people that you trust are going to get the job done every time, so you can focus your energy on the more important tasks that you have to do. The next one, moving on, would be the owner versus operator. This is very important too, especially in America. There's a big confusion, I think, when it comes to being an owner and an operator. So someone who's an operator, someone who has, let's say they use the example dentist. You have a W-2, you're an employee. Then you go from that to an owner. Okay, well, you just bought a job. Then you move from that to an investor. Then it's like, okay, you're slowly moving out away from the business. So that's ultimately the goal, is to be the investor. You don't want to be the guy in a taco truck still working, 6, 7 days a week and not putting money aside to reinvest in order to buy another taco truck, maybe an employee, whatever it is, right? So that's just focusing on saving and reinvesting in the business. And I think that's really important when you want to grow your business in terms of revenue or income. You want it to be bigger. So to do that, it's really important to always, I guess, have that tunnel vision or that foresight into where you want to go in the future. So I thought that was a very good tip from the news article. And I would say, moving on from that point, I don't know if there's any questions, if you have anything to add.
I don't want to interrupt, so that's why I'm taking notes. There are some good points you're mentioning, but you're doing fine, man. Keep going, really, Mateo. You're doing great, buddy.
Okay. So the next point I wanted to point out was when it comes to other forms of saving time and making more money. So Upwork is a really popular site. So at Upwork, you can hire people for, whatever it is. Maybe you need some graphic design, maybe you need a logo created, maybe you need, writing or whatever it is done. Just go on Upwork, you pay, what is it, whatever it is, because a lot of those workers have different contracts and things like that. But that's a good way to save money and not hire a full employee. So I think that's really great when you look at this new like gig economy, to where people are Ubering, making money, people are doing DoorDash, making money, people are online selling things, people are offering goods and services online. It's very easy to just hire someone to do a simple task rather than, hire a full employee, get benefits, salary, all of that stuff. A lot of the time that can be, at least now, that can be unnecessary in terms of like overhead. So I think that's very interesting. I think businesses are changing when it comes to how many employees they need to run the actual business. That's been shrinking. You can even look at the acquisition of Twitter by Elon. I thought that was a good example of major downsizing, right? That's a little it's a little controversial, but I thought that was a good move by Elon to cut a lot of the staff in order to minimize how much they were paying these people, and also to make it more efficient. So I thought but it is controversial for a myriad of reasons. But I thought that's a good example of just trying to cut costs any way you can.
Let me stop you.
Yeah,
Why is
sure.
it controversial? Because people are losing jobs. Is that why?
That's part of the reason. The other part of the reason is people thought that Elon was firing certain members on Twitter that knew the technology, that just frankly did a really good job, that they worked with Twitter for a long time, and that they were losing some expertise, let's say, when it comes to understanding Twitter, their business secrets, and just the product in general, which is true. He did rehire a couple of those employees back. But I think for the most part, it's a good example of trying to be more efficient and more productive, which is why I brought that up.
Mateo, let me chime in on that so I don't forget.
Sure, yeah.
I think maybe you've heard me say this before, that there is this is just psychology 101, that when you're down on your luck, you tend to believe a little bit more, and you might do something that normally you wouldn't done. Have you heard me mention that before to you?
I believe so. Yes, yes.
Yeah. And I mentioned that's why the strategy, like franchises, who do they sell franchises to? People that just got laid off or have been fired, because maybe before they would have never had the courage to go out on their own. But because they got fired and they were in their 50s or early 60s, they're like, what? I gave my life to this company. And then something in you, something happens. And it really is emotional, but it gets you going. So when I say it's emotional, they've done this study. They've done it with me, and I fall for it. You have 10 chips. I've gotten this question, and I get it wrong every time or get it right. You have 10 chips. Okay, let's assume they're worth $100 each, and you cashed in your last $1,000 because you got to pay your rent. That's $3,000 or something, right? So you do the first one and you lose. Now the second one, you lose. Now the third one, you've lost 9 times. And you've got your last $100. What are the odds that when you put that last chip, what are the odds? Well, every time I hear that question, I go 90%. It's 90% it's going to work. And everybody else answers that way as well. No, the odds were just as bad of when you walked in. But in your mind, because you're so down on your luck, you want to believe. So I know I've mentioned that somebody that I know well and enjoy my times that I talk with him. As a matter of fact, when I met with you, Mateo, I got together with him for a cup of coffee because he also has a winter home in Naples. And that's Mike Duke, who's the former CEO of Walmart. And one of the times we sat down at that Panera Bread that's in North Naples, if you know where that is, Mateo, and he said to me how many people that were high up that he did have to let go. That was the best thing that ever happened to him. And times when he'll run into those people and they'll say, thank you that you fired me. He's like, how do you think I got to be the CEO at Walmart? He didn't work in retail. He didn't have that back. His background was as an engineer. But because he got fired, because he was when he got that call from that recruiter, it's like, absolutely, right? Well, he and 5 others that are former CEOs of Walmart say the same thing. I would have never applied if I wouldn't have been fired from that other job. So laying people off, that can be the best thing. I'm going to give an analogy that I know Mateo's just going to love. When does Taylor Swift come out with her best music? He's like, don't even joke that way with me when she deals with a breakup, right?
Yeah.
That's what they say. So when you're down on your luck, you tend to believe. So it could be the best thing that ever happened to those people. They could have started businesses or bought franchises that we don't know about because of that layoff. Just wanted to add that. Go ahead. That's my own public service announcement.
That's I love that. That was great. The Taylor Swift.
I know I probably distracted you because you're probably thinking of your favorite songs by Taylor Swift, right?
Yeah, when I was back in high school, yeah, I was,
Oh, you shouldn't have even admitted that one, really. Yeah.
She made good music back then, yeah.
All right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Beta. I meant Hernandez. You got that joke, huh?
Yeah. So really there's really just two points left.
Please, yeah.
I also liked how by the way, this article was only like 17. I watched the video, but it's a 17-minute read. The video is about 17 minutes long. So I thought he did a masterful job, Richard Wilson, at condensing what could be, you could stretch this out to be an hour or 2 hours. But he's so good at explaining it, getting to the meat of it. He did it in like 17 minutes. It felt longer though, like watching the video. But the last 2 things was about AI. So obviously AI has been trending a lot, and it's kind of the hot topic everywhere you go in multiple industries. Medicine, when it comes to tech, when it comes to real estate, when it comes to all sorts of different things. And so they mentioned they use Ghostwrite AI for email writing. So that's another way they try to offload, make it easier to send out emails. You can also use it for campaigns as well if you're trying to craft specific messages, like formal, professional. It's actually quite a useful tool. And it's an add-on. You can add it right to your Google Chrome extension. Very simple, very easy. And the second one would be the phone calls. So obviously you and me, I've worked for you for almost a year now. And so we communicate heavily over email. And when we do have Zooms, it's only for specific reasons. And it's usually, let's say, like maybe 3 times a month, if that. And I get more value from the emails at times because sometimes you can articulate what you're trying to get across better in words.
That's how I learned. When I would have email exchanges that would go between me and John Paulson, and I would see how he would write, I'd remember that. And I'm like, whoa, that's really good. Yeah. So, but you're right. That's why when I do email you, I'm conscious of it and I'm not sloppy in it because I know you're learning from me, just like children, they learn from example. So with all of the people that start off with me as interns, I realize they're going to do what they've been taught, right? So I'm going to show them through the example, but I am in agreement with you, Mateo. Most of the things that I have learned that sometimes you guys will be like, how did you know that? Or it was through an email. Can I call it the university on email? Meaning if I read something that was really gone like, whoa, I'll give you another tip that I did. When I'm emailing with people like that are worth billions, If they have something that's really good, I cut and paste it. And I have a format on my Word format of just really good one-liners on certain things. For example, when you send me an email and there's a lot of kind of questions on it, I always email the same thing because it's a cut and paste. Can you remember what I say in that email before I mention see my answers in red?
Usually you would just it would be some type of reference to something we've already talked
I
about.
usually say I never have a problem with answering intelligent questions, which all of the below are. Please see my answers in red letters. I learned that from a guy that's worth over, look him up, probably 10 billion now. Look up John Paulson. One day when he sent that email to my client and did it that way, the guy goes, "That is so cocky. That is so arrogant. All of your questions are intelligent. So because of it, I will answer." And when I heard that, I'm like, they think it's cocky. They think it's arrogant. It's coming from a self-made billionaire. I'm copying that one. So I like it. I don't think it's that arrogant. He's saying all of your questions. I never have a problem with answering intelligent questions, which all of the below are. Please see my responses next to yours in red letters. I like that he does that. Now, the other day I had somebody ask me some really kind of asinine questions. So I didn't feel comfortable saying all of your questions because they were dumb questions and I felt like it was lying. So instead I say, please see my responses in red letters clarifying where you're completely wrong. Now, I didn't say that last part, but what else, Mateo?
No, we're pretty much at the end of it. I thought I had one interesting anecdote
Yeah,
about the
please.
owners and operators. I was listening to a video, I think it was from Grant Cardone. He
Huh?
was doing an interview somewhere, and he said that most of the business owners in America are tired. They're tired. And, they don't have it in them to continue with their businesses. And I thought that was actually pretty profound because I worked for a business down in Naples. I won't drop the name of it, but it was a mom and pop business, and they just wanted to sell. They were very tired. One of them left their career to start the business, and it's kind of a sob story. But I just remember working for that company. I was probably 21, and it was one of my first interactions of like seeing someone trying to start a business, I guess the wrong way, to be honest, because what they did is they would hire and fire a lot and burn a lot of money with the people they brought in. And there was a lot of dysfunction and disorganization, and emotionally it was all over the place. And I was like, so it just brought me back to that moment and thinking, yeah, this is probably happening to a lot of people. And they don't, if I wish they had these skills and this information from the article, because I think it would save a lot of businesses a lot of money, heartache, and wasted time. So that was kind of, it was surreal to see that and to see someone successful like that, man's a
I'm glad
billionaire.
you brought that up. You know
Yeah.
what I thought of on that?
Yeah.
Is that what you do, you make a conscious effort to when you read things, when you hear things, even if it's in an email, you think about it and say, can I apply this? Will this help save time? So you're good at that. You're good at doing that. You
Oh,
wouldn't be in that situation, or if you did, you'd spot it based on something you read. Because I know that about you. You're a learner, but then you apply it as well.
oh, absolutely. Right. It's action, right? Words don't really mean much. Ideas don't mean much. Ideas might not even translate well in the real world, more often than not. So it's important. Also, the trope of, hard work, I think, is a little overstated, especially in America. It's important to be, because all of these men that you mentioned that you've taught me, they're all intelligent guys and
Yeah.
they all work really hard. So I think it's important to always be smart first and then work really hard at whatever strategy I've implemented. But that's all I got for today. That's what I got from the
It's
article.
awesome. I'm looking for something on the talk is cheap that I know you've heard me mention before. But before I do, Tessa, I have a feeling you've got a few things or a question you may want to ask. Am I right?
No, actually, I interjected during the ones that I really wanted to talk about. But I mean, I think that you had really great points in there. And I know you skimmed over AI, but it's one of my favorite, just talking about what you can do. But there's so much on the AI. Reagan did a show around the AI. So I'm going to see if I can add the link into the live feed so that you guys can go check out that conversation that we had about AI too. So that's
Was it with
awesome.
Robert?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because coincidentally, the very first person that Richard Wilson Family Office Club hired, oh, he wasn't the first, but he was one of the first ones. Do you know who the very first person he ever hired? We have had him on here before. Michael Kelly.
Really?
Remember the investment science? The guy,
Yeah,
he had
yeah.
a guy from Utah. He's in New York. The
Mm-hmm.
very first person that Richard Wilson, when he first started the Family Office Club, was Michael Kelly.
Interesting.
And then he also then brought in Robert, who we know. So what a small world, if you will. I did find what I wanted to read. You mentioned talk is cheap. Were those the words? What were the exact words, Mateo, that you said? Anybody can talk,
They're
action.
worthless, all near worthless words.
Mm.
This is in a book that I got when it first came out. So I was 25, which is your age, right, Mateo?
24, close.
24, and I'm going to be 50. So this was 25 years ago. You see here, Tessa, it's like broken up
Yes.
here. I've
Well
read
loved.
this so many times. One of the chapters is on commitment. And it says, someone told me about a newly elected judge who had won office in a special county election. During his acceptance speech, he said, I wish to thank the 424 people who promised to vote for me. I wish to thank the 316 people who said they did vote for me. I wish to thank the 47 people who came out last Thursday to vote. And I wish to thank the 26 folks who actually did vote for me. And he concluded by saying, talk is cheap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much, Mateo and Reagan, for covering this topic. Did you have anything else that you wanted to close with before we invite everyone
No,
to
other
come
than
follow?
Tessa, you know I'm a sweets fan. So you want to know what I'm going to be having after this?
Yeah.
I bought something that's really healthy the other day. It really is. I've already eaten a
Earth
few.
friendly.
But
Okay.
yeah,
It says earth
that's
friendly.
what they say, and it says gluten-free, dairy-free. You see that?
Yeah.
So I thought I have to. So I've been eating a few today. They refer
Is
to.
it taste free or does it taste okay?
I think it's phenomenal. No, it really is. It's good.
Oh,
Look,
good.
how many I
Yeah,
had just
that's
before.
true. That's
This was my
true.
break. I was going to have this. This is going to be my dinner.
Oh,
I'm kidding. It's not. It's dessert for my dinner tonight.
oh, I love it. I love it.
Going to
Well, thank
close
you
with
all.
that. Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. Well, if you haven't already, you can hit the bell to get notifications when we go live with the Futurist Mindset Show. And of course, if you have any questions, you can go to aavc.com to go find out more about what Reagan does in the